Welcome to Awaken the Mind, the NLP and Hypnosis Guide, hosted by David Uhas.
You're listening to Awaken the Mind, the NLP and Hypnosis Guide, a podcast that inspires the curious to the professional to discover meaningful content and pursue their passions. My name is David Uhas, and I'm a master NLP practitioner and hypnotist, best known for losing over 100 pounds and running 6 marathons in 2 years. And I'm sitting down with hypnotists, NLP practitioners, and coaches to talk about their process, the lessons they've learned, and how to make an impact in the lives of others.
Mike has 15 years of experience in the recruiting space and has helped over 500 people find jobs, achieve career goals, and gain financial freedom. He has worked with several Fortune 500 companies and now owns 2 recruiting businesses based out of Maryland. And give our guest today a warm welcome, Mike Waranch. Welcome, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this call.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate you taking some time out of your evening to be here.
Of course.
So our backstory is we both just came back from Unleash the Power Within in Miami, 2019. Could you share with our listeners what that experience, your takeaways were while you were there?
How much time you got? It's funny because when I got back, I had several people ask me, like, what were your takeaways? What were your takeaways? And it's very hard to articulate because saying that the event was life-changing is somehow an understatement. It's impossible to articulate, but, my biggest thing was trying to get better control of my emotions and meaning. I'm an emotional guy and I have a tendency, my highs are super high, but my lows tend to really drag out. So I really wanted to get better control of that kind of stuff and get a better understanding of how I could snap back into peak state and control my emotions better. Because obviously me being in a better state is going to do nothing but benefit every aspect of my life, from business to relationships to family to kids. I mean, it's nothing but beneficial. So it was a big focus for me while I was at the UPW event. And through all the meditation and the kind of the soul searching, if you will, and the exercises that we were doing, he gave us, and they gave us, I should say, gave me a lot of tools to bring home with me that I've since been able to apply. And I guess if you're going to talk about like a takeaway, I think that would be the biggest thing for me. But there was so much more to it than just that. I mean, it improved my relationship with my wife immensely, and we already had a great relationship, but as I told you, she was there as well. Again, we sat separately, through asking multiple people. That was definitely what they recommended, and we were able to grow independently together, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And it's really just benefited every aspect of my life so far. I truly cannot say enough good things about this event. It was so much better than I even anticipated.
I totally agree with everything you just said. Just incredible. And it's hard to describe, like you said, it's experiential. So it's kind of like, hey, can you write a paragraph on how to tie your shoes? It's kind of hard to do.
Right.
I was just looking through some of the things about you. You're a national champion sand soccer player. Okay, so I know what soccer is, but sand soccer, tell me about that. That's fascinating.
It's literally played on the beach. I'm a goalkeeper, so saying I'm a soccer player is borderline. Far better with my hands than my feet. But there's an international tournament that's played in Virginia Beach every year. And, guys that I grew up playing soccer with, we always played traditional soccer, whether it was indoor or outdoor. And we found out about this sand soccer tournament, and really we were kind of just using it as an excuse to get away and have fun at the beach and play soccer and drink and have a good time. We were in our early 20s. But we ended up winning the tournament. I mean, we beat teams from Mexico and Cuba and California. I mean, it was a legit event. There was like 3,500 teams or something in there. We came out of our bracket on top. It was a phenomenal experience and a huge accomplishment.
All my kids played soccer when they were growing up. I can't imagine playing it in sand.
Well, it's so much harder for so many different reasons. I mean, for the guys that are actually kicking the ball around, it's impossible to run in sand. The ball is very much in the air most of the time. It's a lot of volleys and trying to keep the ball up. But from a goalkeeper's perspective, it's even harder, or I should say equally as hard, because the ball bounces off the sand in such funky directions that it's impossible to read. You just got to be super aggressive about it. And, you know, I got lucky. It was a lot of fun.
You are an avid MMA and Brazilian Jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I just recently discovered the Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and that is like mind-blowing. Share with us about that experience.
Oh man, talk about life-changing. That's life-changing in a whole different way, but actually not crazy far off at the same time. You know, growing up, I was always a contact sport player. Aside from soccer, I played football. I was a big-time boxer. And when I got into my early, I guess late 20s, I should say, I was playing in a football league and blew my knee out, tore the ACL and the meniscus. You know, got surgery and rehabbed and went back and tried playing football again, and realized that I just couldn't do what I wanted to do anymore. The cutting, the jumping, you know, there was never much speed, but whatever I had was gone. So I went back to boxing, because boxing is super easy on the knee for the most part. So I went back to boxing at this gym up here in Baltimore called Ground Control, and was training there and saw guys doing MMA and jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, oh, what's that all about over there? And they're like, come on over, try it out and stuff. And as soon as I got my hands on somebody else, I got just immediately hooked. It's such a cool sport. I saw a really funny definition of jiu-jitsu. There's two definitions. One is involuntary yoga, and the other is the art of folding someone's clothes while they're still wearing them. And those are the two best definitions you can imagine. But at the same time, what really kind of drew me to it that I thought was interesting was, in my head, going into an MMA gym, I had this concept of what I thought the guys would be like these mean, ugly dudes who are super strong and just wanted to beat each other up. And it's not like that at all, at least at the gym I train and the few other gyms that I've trained at. It's a very much a team-oriented atmosphere. Great guys, you know, most of them come from, you know, white-collar professional backgrounds. Everyone just wants to help each other get better at their craft, which I thought was so cool. You know, me going in there with no experience, going against guys who've been training for, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and them just genuinely wanting to help me get better. It just drew me to it. It's a great sense of community. I made all my closest friends now are guys that I train with, and you know, people don't get how I can love people who choke me out all the time, but it's a team approach, you know? So I got very addicted, and more than anything, it's therapeutic for me. You know, when I'm working and recruiting and doing what I do on a day-to-day basis, it's very much in my head. You know, a lot of stress, and are they going to take the job, and what's the offer going to be, and where can I find the next candidate that's going to fit for this job? It's all very, very, you know, forward-thinking stuff. In the gym, I could not be more present. I am only thinking about one thing, and that's not getting tapped out or punched in the face. And, you know, as weird as it sounds, it's therapeutic because it forces you to be in the moment. So whatever stresses I have going on in my life outside the gym, I'm not thinking about it for the hour or 2 hours that I'm there. And by the time I leave, I feel phenomenal. So I think that's what really keeps me coming back to it, plus the fact that you can never master it. There's always someone better than you. There's always more to learn, just like with what we're talking about with Tony Robbins. Like, you can never master the art of being happy. I mean, once you get to Tony's level, I guess, but otherwise it's just a constant, never-ending desire and working towards improvement. And I just love that piece of anything in any aspect of my life. I want to just continue to improve and develop and get better.
Something that I've watched in the YouTube videos, you were talking about the camaraderie. That's something I've heard a lot about. But then also what's fascinating is they talk about how it's not so much how big you are with jiu-jitsu.
It's so true. It's actually from the lineage of it. I trained under the Gracie family lineage. And, you know, their whole concept behind Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is it teaches smaller guys how to use the momentum and the weight of bigger guys against them. So there's three main concepts: base, leverage, and technique. And if you can get those three concepts down, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to any size guy. I mean, I train and roll with guys that are, I weigh about 180, 185 pounds. I can throw around guys that are, 270, 280, literally. And at the same time, I get beat up by guys that weigh 130 pounds and girls that weigh 120. It's such a cool sport in that respect.
Tell me a little bit about what led you to this work that you're doing now. And can you talk about what it is that you do?
I'm not like a certified coach by any means, but with the candidates that I work with, I'm always coaching them on how to advance their careers, how to improve their resumes, interview techniques, salary negotiations, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yes, I mean, I when I first got out of college, I was running a flag football league, just trying to make ends meet and figure out what I was going to do long term. And a good friend of mine who was playing in the flag football league worked at a Fortune 500 recruiting company and was like, hey, you're good with people. You're an entrepreneur. Why don't you come check this out? And I was like, okay. So, no real expectations, just went in there and checked it out and just absolutely fell in love with it. Growing up and working in high school, I had worked in the mortgage industry and I'd done some car sales. And, I always knew that I wanted to be in sales, but I never felt like the sales roles that I was working in were actually helping people. And for me, that's a huge driver. I don't know where it comes from, but that's just, I've always wanted to be in a role where I could help people. And, you sell someone a house, like, yeah, you're helping them, but at the same time, they owe you money for the next 30 years. Same with a car. You give someone a car, it's like, great, by the way, you owe me 20 grand. In my role, in the recruiting role, what I found was this is a role where you can truly change people's lives. I'm talking, you help someone find a job that's going to advance their career, put food on the table for their family, make more money, achieve life goals. I mean, it's truly helping them. And for the person that you help find the job for, it costs them literally nothing, not a penny. The flip side is we get paid, or I get paid from the businesses that ask me to help them find people. And what we charge them is a drop in a bucket. I mean, it costs them basically nothing to their bottom line. And the flip side is that it improves their business processes. It takes a huge workload off their plate, and I still get to add value from their end at a marginal cost. So it was a sales role that I really fell in love with, because the ability to impact people's lives. And it's just kept me interested in it ever since. I've been in it for 15 years now.
What type of people come to you? Do you work mainly with companies, or do you work with individuals, or do you work with both?
All of the above. The companies are the ones who technically pay the bills, but the candidates are our product. The reason that I have the reputation in the industry that I have is because I have the best candidates. I have the best product. And it's not because they have the best experience or the best resume. It's because I really take time to understand my clients' environments and culture at the companies. And then I find people who have transferable skills, but are going to fit and enhance that culture. You can teach experience. You can't teach attitude. I've kind of broken the mold recently, because I feel like people nowadays hire based off resume as opposed to the person. And you can't hire like that. That you're hiring a person. And especially nowadays, so many people are outsourcing their resume writing that they're giving you a resume that they didn't even write, and then you're hiring them based off that. I mean, that's crazy to me. Hire the person. And then once you do, if there's areas where they're weak or need improvement, you can teach them what they need to teach them. Not to mention, we have access to every piece of information ever known to man at our fingertips. They can learn it. So I'm very big on that, on finding the right person for the environment and the culture. And it's led to success for all parties involved, me, the businesses, and the candidates.
Could you share with me, I'm guessing that you have read books before. What are some of your favorite books?
Yes, definitely. To be honest with you, I wasn't really a huge reader until the past couple of years when I realized the impact they could have. Right now, I'm actually reading The Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Really fantastic book as it relates to small businesses and management. Obviously, Think and Grow Rich was a huge one for me. But more than anything, the book that, in my opinion, had the biggest impact on my life was The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Huge impact for me. It just, the concept behind it is this, the kind of like just doing a little bit consistently every day, and you see massive results. In that book, the author tells a story about two brothers who go to their father who's on his deathbed, and the father, he's a millionaire. And he says to the sons, look, I can give you $1 million, or I can give you a penny that will double each day. Which would you prefer? One brother takes the $1 million, the other brother takes the penny. At the end of the month, the brother who took the $1 million, he hired all these stock investors and these experts on the industry stuff and investing, and like really use that money to find the best people and invest in businesses. And at the end of the month, they're like, okay, great. So good news, your $1 million has turned into $2.5 million. The bad news is that your overhead is $5 million. So you're actually $2.5 million in the hole.
Okay.
The other brother who took the penny and just let it double every day, at the end of the month had something like $10 million. And that's the whole concept. It's just about this positive compounded growth. So you just do a little bit consistently each day to consistently improve. It doesn't have to be massive action each day. It just has to be consistent improvement, little things each day that will add up. And before you know it, you look back and you've come so much farther than you could ever imagine. And that has impacted my life in so many ways. And obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, ties into the concept that Tony Robbins talks about. It all really just came together for me once I read that book. It was very impactful.
Wow, you are like on fire. You're a very, very passionate person, and
I am.
man.
I'm also up walking around, and I'm high energy as is. So you're talking about all these things that are very near and dear to my heart. So it's hard to stop me.
Perhaps somebody is listening that might be considering going to Tony Robbins. I actually wanted to go to an event for quite some time, and I was so excited to go. What would you say to somebody that's considering going to a Tony Robbins event?
Go. It's not even a question. If you're even considering it, that means that you need to go. It doesn't matter if you're, the happiest, most positive person that you know, or someone who has what you feel like are the worst problems on the planet. You will get something out of it that, if you play full out like we talk about it, will change your life. It's totally impactful, but you have to go there and be willing to do the work. And that's the one thing that I didn't really realize, was that it's work. I mean, there are long days, and you're really digging deep into yourself and sharing things with strangers that, you wouldn't tell your closest friends. It's very intense in that respect, but in the best kind of way that really allows a massive amount of personal and professional growth in a 3.5, 4-day period that you would never see. It would take years to get that growth in any other way, if ever. So if you're even considering it, do it. Because if you're thinking about it, it means you should explore it. And I promise you that you will get something out of it that will change your life in one way or another.
What was the firewalk experience for you?
Oh man, that was great. And the funny thing is, firewalking, I mean, is such a crazy concept. And for me, that was the least impactful part of it. That's what's crazy. I mean, you walk on 2,000-degree hot coals, and that's the least impactful part. It was crazy, but at the same time, it was a very powerful moment. Because when you think about walking on fire, especially when I've told people about it since, you don't really realize that you are truly walking on fire.
Yes.
You think about it, you talk about it, and, Tony walks you through these prepping exercises to get you in the right state and make sure that you're ready to go and you know what to say and where to look and all this kind of stuff. But when you walk up to it and you feel that heat, it gets very real very fast. And, for me, I'm balls to the wall. I go all in no matter what, as I'm sure you can tell from how I'm talking. But I knew I was always going to do it. Like, as soon as I stepped up, as soon as my wife and I signed up for the event, I knew I was going to do it. But when I stepped up, I knew I was going to do it. But the accomplishment of getting to that other side and feeling literally no pain after taking, 6 to 10 steps on 2,000-degree coals,
yeah.
It was extremely empowering. And just, I understand why he leads with that, because it really does kind of lay the groundwork for you for the rest of the weekend to be like, I'm a badass. I can do whatever I want. I mean, I walked on fire. I can literally do anything that I put my mind to if I put my mind to it. It was extremely powerful. Did you feel the same way?
Oh, I did. I've done some things like skydiving, and I with the idea of doing bungee jumping. I haven't done that yet. And I thought, okay, all I got to do is, get in the airplane, you jump, you land. Everybody survives, right? Get on the roller coaster. Right. Everybody gets off at the end. Everyone survives. And I kind of just was blowing this off the whole time. And And then he started talking about what it's like when he was talking about, make sure you don't run across. You don't want your face to get planted in the coals. I'm like, oh.
Right.
Such a powerful experience when you get up there and you realize, oh my God, this is like the freaking charcoal on my grill.
Right.
There's flames coming up. And yeah, getting on the other side, it was almost like an unconscious experience. I mean, I remember getting up to the coals, and then I remember just feeling that heat, and then I'm like, kumas, and I was on the other side. It was bizarre. And I went to check if I had blisters, and I had nothing, just a little bit of
I know it. It's crazy. I'll tell you, when I got to the other side, and they, I wiped the feet off and everything. The first thing I did was turn around, and my wife was right behind me, and watching her walk across that, I mean, was equally as impactful for me as me doing it myself. I mean, a very, very cool experience.
Like limiting beliefs where I can't do this, I can't do that. And for me, it was just this reinforcement with, what else can I do?
The story that Tony told at the event about where, I forget where he said he was, but they were like up on a roof, and there were some guys who came up and were like, oh, that's a trick. You're not really doing it. It doesn't get hot. You got to put this metal crate down and stuff like that. And Tony's like, okay, put it down. Watch. And he walked across it, same results. I mean, it's the same thing. The limiting beliefs. It's such a great phrase. I mean, it's so nail on the head. It's so basic. Like, of course, it's called limiting beliefs. But when you really take the power of those two words, it just, I feel like for me, it just opened things up to be like, these are limiting beliefs. Like, why am I allowing these to limit me when in actuality, it's all in my head. It's all fluff. It's BS that was put there by other people or experiences from my past that are a joke. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's very, very cool.
I really appreciate you spending some time with us this evening, and thank you so much for being a guest, Mike.
Thank you, Dave. It was a real pleasure speaking with you. I absolutely love talking about this stuff and appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us today with Awaken the Mind, hosted by David Juhas.
Awaken the mind, you need to understand. If you can't, you must, and if you must, you can. Now that I got you, let me put you in a trance. Got you feeling hypnotic, your mind, let me massage it. Your thoughts are getting quiet, your stress subsiding. You starting to see images, but it ain't no mirages. Think it's time to calibrate. Take a breath and concentrate. Get into your subconscious. Time to feel the energy, the brain waves. Let's go deep into your memory. Beware of self, let the worries melt. All you see is you and you don't see no one else. Auditory digital, talking to yourself. It might seem bizarre, a feeling you never felt. This is your time to shine. Awaken the mind, the NLP and hypnosis guide. Yeah.